Hi there guys, welcome to Boxpad. Thank you for tuning in. There's a very competitive fight and a fight I'm really looking forward to on the undercard of Leo Santa Cruz against Carl Frampton this weekend. And it sees Tony Harrison going up against Sergey Rabchenko. Now both of these guys have a lot of power, and I've struggled with this fight to call it really, because I do believe there are multiple outcomes to this fight, and it's all a case of taking a punt of which one. Educated guess, I might say, of what I think will happen. So what I'm going to do is just look at the fighters, and we'll see where we get from there. Sergey Rabchenko, as I said, a lot of power, very good body puncher, right there in front of you, using the jab. Very solid guy, pretty structured, very good upper body movement actually. Rabchenko, something that I would praise him for, is that he moves his upper body quite a lot. Not the quickest guy in the world, not the best mover in the world, but he's in front of you, hunting you down, using body punches. He lost to Anthony Mundine a couple of fights ago in Australia, and the criticism I have of him in that fight, it was a split decision, but the criticism I would have of Rabchenko, something I feel, is that he can be beaten to the punch. Mundine regularly beat him to the jab in that fight, and I think if you beat the guy to the jab, you offset his rhythm, and then it obviously sets up your punches, and I think that's something that Rabchenko struggles with sometimes. Another thing is that really, looking at levels, you have to say Mundine's the best guy that Rabchenko had fought, and it was, although perhaps a close fight, he did lose the fight. And his level of opposition has not been amazing, in my opinion. He's fought quite a lot of so-called journeymen or guys that are not at the elite level, and I think this is potentially his toughest fight yet. If Harrison really turns up for this fight, I believe it can be as tough, if not tougher, than Mundine. Now, another thing to mention is that Rabchenko has not been an active boxer. Throughout 2013, 14 and 15, he only fought once in each of those years. And he's fought once already this year, but that was really a basic tune-up fight against a real non-entity opponent, really. So he's not fought at the top level consistently, if he's fought at the top level at all. I mean, a Mundine fight apart, this is really getting into territory now where this is going to be one of Rabchenko's toughest fights. So have we really seen whether Rabchenko can pull it off at the very top level? He went the distance with Bradley Price. Price was able to last through to the end of that fight, and he was still looking good at the end of the fight, half decent at the end of the fight. It wasn't like he was on his last legs or anything. And then Mundine obviously went the distance with Rabchenko. Are we looking and seeing, has Rabchenko found the limit whereby when he reaches elite level, when he reaches the better guys, they're able to outmaneuver, make it difficult, maybe frustrate him, or able to take some of his power more than these other guys have? Is Rabchenko's power, and he has a lower KO ratio than Harrison, although Harrison's had less fights, I think. Are we seeing that happening? That maybe his power is overplayed. Maybe when you come up against elite fighters, it's happened before. We've seen it plenty of times. Guys have a lot of knockouts. They look very powerful, but then they get to the elite scene and then they start to pick up decision victories, or they might lose as guys are able to outmaneuver them, to take their power. Guys who have experience. I would guess that Rabchenko does still have power. He definitely has power, and he's definitely a danger with it. I would just say that he does very much have the potential to be outboxed, in my opinion, because, like I said, he's very structured. He's not got the best movement, and I think a good outside fighter could potentially box rings around him. You got an experienced outside fighter who can put together combinations. Has a jab. I think he's very beatable. He's a difficult guy to move. He's solid. He's in front of you, but I think he can be outboxed. Harrison is not the most experienced guy in the world, but he can dig. A stint at middleweight, but now wants to fight at this weight. And he lost a couple of fights ago to Willie Nelson. Nelson was a bigger guy than even he is, because he's 6'1", Tony Harrison. So he's probably gonna. I think he's got the height and reach advantage in this as well. But he got caught with a good shot and he just couldn't recover. That obviously has causes concern in this fight, because if he gets caught by Rabchenko, is he going to get taken out? Is he going to be able to recover from going down? Body punches could be an issue against him. He's really ripped. He's not got a lot of body fat to provide a little bit of protection, perhaps, if you believe in that kind of thing. Very slender guy. And I don't really think Harrison knows what he is up to this point. I've seen him on the front foot, I've seen him on the back foot, I've seen him in between, and I've never really watched him. The fights I have seen of him, never seen him really take a definite stance. In his last fight, he stopped Fernando Guerrero, and Guerrero had some success in that fight when he took front foot and went a bit more toe-to-toe with Harrison. And this kind of ties up with what I've seen, because Harrison, when he's on the front foot, I think he's at his best. He throws good combinations. He's quicker than Rabchenko. He throws some very clean punches. He can push guys back. Rabchenko can be pushed back as well. I've seen him push back even by lesser guys than Harrison. So Harrison can push him back to the ropes and have a lot of success. He can slip punches very well. Pardon me. He can slip punches very well. He can, and then he can come through with some good counters. So boxing-wise, I think Harrison has the upper hand on Rabchenko. The question is, though, Harrison is pushed back quite a lot. You know, one moment he'd be on the front foot, the next minute he's being pushed back to the ropes, and then I feel he's very vulnerable. There are times when I watch him on the back foot, and he looks like he can just use his movement and outbox a guy. But I think that the trouble with Harrison is that he loves to engage. He wants to be, whether on the front or back foot, he can't just stay away. He has to engage with his opponent, and that's what puts him at risk. And it shows that he has the potential to get caught, especially against a guy like Rabchenko, who's going to want to close him down. I've also seen Harrison in with, and I forget the name of the guy, but he was in a fight with a guy, and he had used the back foot a lot, and he'd outboxed the guy. But then right at the end, he got into some trouble, and the guy hurt him. You know, so that's a concern in this fight. If Rabchenko if he takes the back foot, I do have concerns for Harrison. On one hand, I can see him outboxing Rabchenko, but on the other hand, if he lacks the discipline he usually lacks and engages with Rabchenko, then we've got a fight on our hands, and he has then he could get caught. If he picks his shots well, I believe you can hurt Rabchenko, although there remains to be seen evidence really that he can stop Rabchenko. But this is boxing. We have to just assume that these things is possible to happen, and the power he's shown thus far suggests that he can trouble Rabchenko in that department. But here you can see my dilemma as I'm looking at this fight, and why I keep changing my mind, is that what do you punt on? Do you punt on Rabchenko being able to get to Harrison later in the fight, which is a definite possibility? Or do you punt for what I believe is the other most probable option, and that's Harrison getting a decision over a guy who, at the elite level, you could argue, his only really elite fight against Mundine, he beat Ryan Rhodes earlier on, but that's at the tail end of Ryan Rhodes' career, and I would argue that wasn't necessarily elite. But if his best opponent, Mundine, he's gone the distance. He's not dominated with power. He's suffered being beaten to a punch. I'd like to see Harrison really employ the jab a lot more in this fight. If he gets to the punch first and uses his speed and movement and throws Rabchenko off his game, I think that he really has the ability to win this fight. And I'm actually going to go for Tony Harrison to win this fight by a decision, which I may have already mentioned earlier in the fight, in the video. But that's what I'm going to go for. As I've said, I stay away from this fight if I'm a betting man, because I think that there are a lot of questions that are unanswered with these guys. And this is kind of a fight where you learn a lot. And I tend not to want to bet on fights where I think I'm going to learn a lot. I want to bet on the fights where I know what's likely to happen. But, fight call aside, this is a really good fight. It should be a good fight to watch. I'm interested in it. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this fight. I'm sure you'll have some. Who are you picking? I think it's a good fight to be on the card. This is Box Bread. I'm out.